You're listening to NPR. You care about local politics.
But it can be hard to keep track and understand how it affects you. I'm Scott Greenstone.
And I'm Libby Dankman.
And on Sound Politics, we talk about this and the other Washington like normal people.
As normal as we can pretend to be. We get beyond the headlines, ask the tough questions, and tie the big stories back to our own backyard.
Sound Politics. Listen now on the KUOW app or wherever you get your podcasts.
About 16,000 Amazon employees just woke up to the news they're out of a job.
It's part two of a 30,000-person downsizing Amazon started in October. Taken together, this is Amazon's biggest reduction in force ever.
And it's the latest in a series of tech layoffs over the past few years that have pushed Seattle's unemployment rate well above the national average.
More tech layoffs have been announced in our area.
Amazon announcing its largest job cuts in years.
Chegg, Microsoft, Meta, Salesforce, the list continues.
Is it actually because of AI? Is it the economy right now? Is it a mix of both?
I'm Monica Nicholsberg.
I'm Joshua McNichols, and this is Booming.
Today, is Seattle facing a tech recession? That's coming up.
This will be your last week of employment at this company.
Why me?
What am I supposed to do now?
Am I supposed to feel better that I'm not the only one losing my job?
This is ridiculous. I have been a fine employee for over 10 years, and this is the way you treat me.
How you sleep at night, man?
Okay, Monica, so the big news today is that Amazon is going through another round of mass layoffs. Not everybody has been following the story as closely as you have, so maybe you can catch us up. What's the reason Amazon has given for these cuts?
To answer that, I want to tell you about this guy I met who kind of tells this whole story. His name is Matt McLean, and he was hired in 2020.
2020. There was a lot going on that year.
A few things, yeah. It was a time when the pandemic was driving millions of people out of their usual brick and mortar stores and onto websites like Amazon. And Matt was hired as a program manager doing workforce planning. Basically, his job was to predict how many employees Amazon would need to handle all that growth.
When you're in a period of massive growth, it takes a lot more people to make that happen.
A lot more. Amazon roughly doubled its headcount during the pandemic.
Whoa.
And then when life started getting back to normal in 2022, 2023, they weren't seeing quite the same rate of growth among their customers. They were still growing, but not growing as fast as maybe shareholders expected. So Amazon started doing lots of layoffs. And in the last round, in October 2025, McLean himself ended up on the chopping block.
I was one of the 14,000 that were informed that there was no longer a need to show up for work.
So Amazon hired this guy to help them grow. And then I guess Amazon wasn't growing anymore.
Yeah, or not growing as fast.
Yeah. So are you saying these ongoing layoffs are about pulling back from overhiring that Amazon did during the pandemic?
That's what Amazon says. Sometimes in corporate speak, you hear this described as right-sizing. In an interview with The Information just last week, Amazon CEO Andy Jassy said that the company just got too bloated.
We, as a leadership team, want to be the world's largest startup, and we are very convicted about that. And where we see layers stripping ownership, we're going to try and take those layers away, and we're going to try and flatten it.
So the stated reason for these layoffs is corporate restructuring to remove bureaucracy and be more efficient. But some Amazon employees say that when it comes to layoffs, there's an AI-shaped elephant in the meeting room.
Yeah, that's a pretty big elephant these days.
Pretty big elephant, yeah.
So what are these employees telling you about it?
So I talked to 3 senior employees who asked to be anonymous because they're worried about losing their jobs. They said that Amazon's leaders are expecting them to use AI tools to do what they say is like more with less, is the phrase that gets thrown around a lot. They're hearing things like, hey, we might be reducing your 8-person team to 4, but this automation, this tool should make it possible to do the same amount of work, or maybe even more. And one of them actually showed me screenshots of a dashboard that Amazon managers are using to track how regularly employees use those AI tools. There's this feeling that Amazon leaders care more about showing that their employees are using AI than the actual results of their work. You know, Amazon has this catchphrase, it's always day one. And the thing that I keep hearing from employees is this is day two culture.
Okay, I think we should define these terms for people. I know day one is shorthand for like startup culture, where a company acts like it's fighting for its survival every day. What does day two culture mean? Is it a culture where your boss is like micromanaging you?
Yeah, kind of. You know, in tech, you want to be the startup, like you said, the disruptor, not the dinosaur from whatever the last digital era was. And until recently, you wanted to be Amazon. Amazon was seen as the scrappy disruptor, whereas a company like Intel is seen as sort of a slow incumbent that's bogged down by all this bureaucracy. But some of these employees are saying that with all these changes, Amazon is also going the way of the dinosaurs. And they say that's because it's focused more on proving that its employees are using AI than what the employees are actually producing. Of course, Amazon would dispute that, but it's the feeling that I'm hearing from employees.
Okay, so back to AI. I know that employees are expensive, because humans are expensive. And compared to those costs, AI is just dirt cheap. It sounds like Amazon thinks AI can make their teams just as productive with fewer people. And if the company has fewer employees, maybe that frees up some cash that they can spend on data centers to power all this AI.
Yeah, I mean, Amazon isn't saying that in so many words, but it does seem to be the expert consensus. Other companies have been a little more forthcoming about this. Like Microsoft just flat out told me part of the reason they've been doing layoffs is because they need money to fund these big infrastructure investments.
Okay, so obviously this isn't just about Amazon, it's about the whole tech industry, which it's a big shift, right? Because for years, the Seattle tech industry has been just charging along like a bull. And then more recently, it seems like everything changed. Thousands of local tech workers have been laid off so far. And didn't Meta just lay people off too?
Yeah, more than 300 people in this area.
Huh. It feels like the cycle of layoffs isn't ending anytime soon. And meanwhile, it's getting harder to break into the industry. So how is this 180-degree turn in the tech industry affecting the broader Seattle economy?
Yeah, it is such a wild shift. In the time that I've been covering this industry, it's hard for me to even believe how much things have changed in just a few years. And we're starting to see pretty significant effects on the local economy. In November, the unemployment rate for the metro area that covers Seattle and Bellevue and Tacoma, it rose to 5.1%, which is quite a bit higher than the national rate of 4.5% during that time. I talked to Jeremy Warren about this. He does labor market research as part of the Workforce Development Council of Seattle-King County. And he said that we're seeing a higher unemployment rate because such a high percentage of our workforce works in tech.
I just don't think there are any good scenarios there if you think about that tech stops growing or even contracts because just of all of the benefits that it adds to our area. Even though it may be a mixed bag, there are benefits of pulling in all of that talent, pulling in all of that capital, pulling in all of those resources, and then some of the downstream ripple effects that come from that.
So when he's talking about downstream ripple effects, I assume he's talking about if tech workers go away, more restaurants will close and charities will see fewer donations, things like that.
Yeah.
And we've seen that kind of fallout during other economic downturns here. But, of course, the growth of tech has had negative ripple effects here too. Like how we saw the cost of housing skyrocket because we didn't have enough new homes for all those tech workers. So is there an upside to a contraction in tech?
Well, I guess it's possible that if we don't have quite as many people moving here for tech jobs that pay these really high salaries, maybe that lets some of the pressure out of the housing market. But it also means fewer tax dollars, especially for things like Seattle's payroll tax, which collects millions of dollars from companies like Amazon based on their headcount to fund affordable housing.
Yeah, it's kind of the eternal dilemma that cities face.
Yeah, it is the economic development dilemma. But Jeremy doesn't think it's that likely that tech will stop growing in Seattle. It could just grow more slowly. It's kind of what we were talking about earlier. Amazon's not stopping its growth. It just wasn't growing quite as fast. At the same time that we're seeing all these layoffs, we're also seeing a lot of growth in jobs for certain types of tech workers. There's a lot of demand for people with machine learning and AI skills, no surprise there. And even as Amazon's cutting jobs, it's still hiring more than anyone else in the area. It's just that the people that they're looking for have a very specific skill set that a lot of tech workers don't have, at least not yet.
It's like a tale of two cities, right? You have that really booming tech economy. We've invested this much in AI. There's all of this capital being poured in. And on the other side of the coin, you have layoffs, people whose jobs are being shed. And it's not just entry level. These are senior people with years and years of experience trying to navigate this labor market.
Okay, so that's really interesting. On the one hand, as we've seen, big tech companies are laying off lots of people, but at the same time, they're hiring others just for different jobs. Maybe that's why there seems to be such confusion among people who live here about whether we're in or maybe just headed for a tech recession. So what do you think after all this reporting? Like, are we?
Well, I'm going to give you a classic reporter answer, which is it depends how you define it. If you just look at employment, I think you could make the case for a tech recession. Unemployment is rising, and that's being driven by tech. About 13,000 people in the Seattle area were laid off last year, and more than half of those were in tech. In the past, our economy has been growing so steadily that we've been able to absorb layoffs. When people lost their jobs, they could find new ones pretty easily. But now we're running into this new problem where there are just fewer jobs overall. It's kind of like musical chairs.
Yeah, musical chairs, totally. I was just talking to the Puget Sound Regional Council about this. They track a lot of these sort of jobs numbers and stuff. And they said that our job market shrank last year. And it's one of just a few years when we had these sort of net losses in jobs. It's an outlier. The pandemic was another year like that. The Great Recession was another year like that.
Right. But employment isn't the only factor that economists look at when they're determining whether we're in a recession. They also look at productivity, how many goods and services we put out. And with AI upending everything, it's still an open question whether productivity growth will slow along with job growth. Because if you have all of these AI agents that can produce tons of stuff, even with a smaller workforce, then you see the two metrics kind of diverge. And all of this becomes sort of meaningless if you're just a person trying to survive in this economy, right? Because the question is it a recession on paper according to these metrics? But if you're out of a job and you can't find another one, then it feels like a recession to you.
Such a weird, unpredictable time. We'll be watching it unfold together, so thank you for helping us a little bit today.
I hope it can be a little bit helpful, and yeah, we're going to keep an eye on it.
That's it for Booming, and thanks so much for listening.
If you've been laid off from a tech company in this latest round or really any time in the past few years, we would love to hear from you. We've been keeping tabs on folks, and we'd love to know how your job search is going and what you're up to now. You can email us at booming@kuow.org or leave us a voicemail at 206-221-7158, and you might be featured on a future episode.
Yeah, we love it when we hear from you. Oh, and if you want to donate to the show, by all means, that would be very helpful, and you can join the people who have so far. You just go to kuow.org/booming. Thanks.
Our producers are Lucy Suchek and Alec Cowan. Our editor is Carol Smith. I'm Monica Nicholsberg.
And I'm Joshua McNichols.
We'll see you next time.
Hey, I'm Ton Ben, host of Seattle Eats, a food podcast from the Seattle Times and KUOW. South Seattle is packed with incredible food, Filipino fine dining, Jamaican soul, and all-day breakfast. On the latest episode, we dig into the hottest food strip in South Seattle. Plus, we'll tell you exactly what to order. Listen to Seattle Eats on the KUOW app or wherever you get your podcasts.